Hey, welcome back to Real Talk, the podcast where we talk about real life in real English at a pace that actually makes sense. And I'm Sarah.
And I'm Mike.
And if this is your first time here, hi, welcome. We're so glad you found us. And if you're coming back, honestly, thank you. We read your comments and they make our week every time.
Every single time. Okay, let's get into it.
Okay, Mike, quick question. And I want you to be honest with me. When was the last time you looked at someone's life, someone your age, someone you went to school with, and thought, oh, they're already there?
Oh, like they have the apartment, the title, the dog that somehow doesn't chew the furniture.
Exactly. The whole thing. And for 1 second you think, what am I doing? I'm so late.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It shows up uninvited, usually at 11 at night.
And if that little moment felt familiar, if you've had that thought, that, oh no, I'm behind feeling, then this episode is exactly for you.
Today's level is B1 to B2, which means we speak clearly, we explain everything, and we don't rush. But honestly, this topic doesn't care about your level. It's for anyone who has ever felt like life is moving forward and somehow you're still trying to find your shoes.
Great image.
Thank you. So here's the question we want to leave with you right from the start, just so it can sit with you as we talk. Behind compared to what? And compared to whose timeline?
Hold on to that. We'll come back to it. So, Mike, the I'm late feeling, where does it even come from?
Honestly, I think it comes from looking sideways instead of forward. And social media makes it so easy to look sideways. You open Instagram and you see, boom, promotion, new house, baby, wedding, trip to Japan. And your brain goes, and I had cereal for dinner last Tuesday.
And the thing is, you know it's not the full picture. You know people don't post the hard days. You know this. But knowing it and feeling it are two completely different things.
Right. Because the feeling isn't really about them. It's about this clock in your head. This invisible social clock that says, by 25 you should have this, by 30 you should have that.
And nobody actually agreed to this clock. Nobody sat down and signed it. It just arrived. From movies, from parents, from the way people talk at family dinners.
So, what are you doing now? Said with that particular smile.
That smile, yes. And the thing I keep coming back to is, this clock doesn't measure how you feel. It doesn't measure whether you're growing. It just measures distance from the expected.
Which isn't the same thing at all.
Not even close. I had a moment in my late 20s. I won't give you the full story, but basically, I looked at my life and thought, nothing is wrong. Nothing hurts, but nothing is moving either. And that scared me more than if something had actually gone badly.
That's a really specific kind of feeling, like comfortable but stuck.
Exactly. And I didn't have a word for it at the time, but the word is stagnant. And I think stagnant is scarier than broken, because when something breaks, you can see it, you can fix it. But stagnant is invisible. Everything looks fine from the outside.
It's like a pond versus a river. Both are water, both look calm, but one of them is moving, collecting oxygen, carrying things, going somewhere. And the other is just sitting there, getting a little green around the edges.
Which one do you want to be?
The river, obviously. But sometimes you don't even realize you've become the pond.
And I think that's what starting over actually means for most people. It's not blowing everything up. It's just finding the current again.
Can we talk about the dreams thing? Because I think this is connected.
Yes, go.
So there's this version of your life that made sense when you were 22. I'll be a manager by 30. I'll live in this city. I'll have this kind of relationship. And those dreams weren't wrong. They were real. But then life happens and you look down and realize those shoes don't fit anymore.
The shoes.
They're not bad shoes. They're just not your shoes anymore. And some people keep wearing them anyway because they already bought them. Because changing feels like failure.
But it's not failure. It's just, you grew. Your feet changed shape. That's allowed.
That's allowed. And I think this is where the comparing chapters thing comes in. Because when you look at someone who's ahead, you're comparing your chapter 1 to their chapter 10.
Oh, this is my favorite thing to think about. It's like watching a TV show. Imagine you start a new series. Episode 1. The main character is confused, a little lost, makes some bad choices. And someone walks into the room, looks at the screen, and says, "Wow, what a mess. They have no idea what they're doing."
But they're in episode 1. That's the point of episode 1.
Exactly. You can't laugh at episode 1 for not being episode 10. That's not how stories work. And your life is not someone else's episode 10. You are exactly where your story is right now.
And the story is still going.
The story is still going. Which brings me to the part that I think is actually the hardest. Starting. Because when people hear start over, they imagine something enormous. Quit your job, move to another country, reinvent everything by Monday.
Which is exhausting just to think about. And fear loves that image. Because if the step looks huge, fear has plenty of time to talk you out of it.
So the answer isn't a big step. The answer is a step so small that fear doesn't even notice it.
One conversation, one email, one morning where you wake up 20 minutes earlier and just sit with what you actually want, not what the clock says you should want.
And what happens when you take one small step is you bounce back. Not to exactly where you were, but you feel the movement. And movement changes something in your brain. It says, I am a person who moves.
And that belief, that's the real starting over. Not the big gesture, the quiet decision.
You know what I think is interesting? People always talk about starting over like it's something that happens once. Like you get one restart and then you have to figure it out completely, forever.
But that's not how any of this works.
Not at all. People start over quietly all the time, in little ways. A new habit, a different route home, a conversation they've been avoiding for months. Starting over isn't one dramatic moment. It's a direction.
It's turning the ship 1 degree. You don't notice it right away, but a few weeks later you look up and you're somewhere completely different.
And I think the reason people wait, the reason they don't take even the small step, is because they're waiting to feel ready. Waiting to feel like the fear is gone.
But the fear doesn't go first. The step goes first. And then, sometimes, the fear quiets down a little. Not completely, but enough.
Enough to move. That's all you need. Okay, we're almost at the end, and I want to leave you with one sentence. Just one.
One sentence.
You are not behind. You are in your chapter.
And your chapter is the only one that was ever yours to write.
So here's your invitation for the comments this week. And we mean it. We read every single one. Write this. One chapter I'm ready to start. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest.
And if this episode helped, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. You probably already know exactly who that person is.
Subscribe if you haven't yet. New episodes every week, right here on Real Talk.
Take care of yourselves. And remember, the river is always moving, even when it doesn't feel like it.
See you next time.